Galactus. Imagine you're chilling at home, having a snack, and suddenly a giant dude in purple armor shows up and tells you your entire planet is his snack. That's Galactus. He's not evil per se, he's just really hungry all the time. Galactus is a cosmic entity known as the Devourer of Worlds, and his whole deal is maintaining the balance of the universe by consuming planets full of energy. If he doesn't eat, bad things happen. Of course, this is little consolation for the civilizations that get turned into breakfast. He was once a mortal named Galen, but when the previous universe collapsed, he merged with the cosmic force and emerged as Galactus. He has godlike powers, can manipulate matter and energy, and generally makes Reed Richards' life miserable whenever he swings by Earth looking for a snack. Of course, he doesn't eat just any planet. He sends out his cosmic food critic, the Silver Surfer, to scope out 5-star dining locations. Galactus has been both enemy and occasional uneasy ally of the Fantastic Four, proving that sometimes even a giant cosmic force of destruction just needs a good meal plan. Galactus is often depicted as a force of nature rather than a conventional villain, which is why he's survived so many encounters with the Fantastic Four and other heroes. While they've managed to stop him from devouring Earth multiple times, Galactus never truly stays defeated. He simply moves on because, well, he has to eat. Some have even argued that Galactus is essential to the cosmic balance, making him a necessary evil in the grand scheme of things. Either way, if you see a giant purple dude looming over your planet, it's probably time to move. Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom. The name alone sounds like it belongs to a Saturday morning cartoon villain, but make no mistake, Doom is the greatest Fantastic Four villain of all time. He's what happens when you mix an unchecked ego, a genius intellect, and just a pinch of black magic. Doom is the ruler of Latveria, a small European country where he is both dictator and beloved leader, mostly because his people know better than to complain. He's a master scientist, a sorcerer, and the owner of one of the best villain costumes in comic book history. His greatest enemy is Reed Richards because Doom knows he's smarter than Reed and can't stand the fact that the universe disagrees. Whether he's time traveling, stealing cosmic power, or just monologuing about his superiority, Doom is a constant thorn in the Fantastic Four's side. And if he ever does take over the world, he genuinely believes he'd make it better. Honestly, he might not be wrong. Doom's armor is not just for show, it's packed with advanced technology, giving him super strength, energy projection, and a host of other abilities. On top of that, his mastery of sorcery makes him a rare villain who can challenge both scientific and mystical heroes. Doom has even stolen the power of the Beyonder and ruled over reality itself on multiple occasions. The only thing bigger than his ambition is his ego, and that's saying something. One of the most fascinating aspects of Doom is that he's not purely evil. He has his own strict code of honor. He genuinely cares about Latveria and believes in his own vision of a utopian society. Of course, his version of utopia involves him ruling over everyone with an iron fist, but hey, nobody's perfect. Kang the Conqueror. If there's one villain who makes time travel even more confusing than it already is, it's Kang the Conqueror. He's from the future, but he also rules the past. He's a descendant of Reed Richards, but also might be a past version of himself. He has multiple identities across different timelines, and even he probably gets confused keeping track of them all. Kang was originally Nathaniel Richards, a genius from the 31st century who got bored and decided to conquer the past. He's decked out in high-tech armor, commands massive armies, and is one of the most stubborn villains in Marvel history. If Kang gets defeated, don't worry. Another version of him will be back soon to make things worse. And if that wasn't enough, he sometimes goes by names like Rama-Tut when he ruled ancient Egypt, Immortus when he got really into manipulating the time stream, and even Iron Lad when he tried being a hero for 5 minutes. Fighting Kang isn't just difficult, it's an organizational nightmare. Kang's obsession with conquest isn't just about power, it's about proving he's the ultimate ruler of all time. He doesn't just fight the Fantastic Four, he battles the Avengers, the X-Men, and anyone else who gets in his way. His ability to manipulate time makes him nearly impossible to defeat permanently. Even when he dies, there's always another version of him waiting to take his place. One of Kang's greatest feats was the Kang Dynasty storyline, where he successfully conquered Earth for a time. While most villains dream of taking over the world, Kang actually did it, which is more than can be said for most would-be conquerors. Molecule Man. Owen Reese is the most terrifying person you've never heard of. He started off as a lab worker who got hit by an experimental energy beam, classic Marvel origin, and suddenly he could control all molecules. Anything made of matter, he can reshape it, reality itself. He can bend it to his will. Yet, despite his godlike abilities, he has the self-esteem of a wet paper towel. For a long time, Molecule Man was held back by mental blocks that kept him from realizing his true power. He started as a timid, neurotic villain with a wand that he thought he needed to use his abilities. Spoiler, he didn't. Eventually, he got his act together and became one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe. He's been involved in some major events, including Secret Wars, where his power played a huge role in shaping reality. Despite his near omnipotence, he's a guy who just wants to be left alone. The Fantastic Four have faced him multiple times, and honestly, they're just lucky he never decided to really let loose. Molecule Man's connection to the multiverse runs deep. It was eventually revealed that every version of him across alternate realities was linked, making him an essential component of existence itself. When Doctor Doom took over reality during Secret Wars 2015, it was Molecule Man's power that ultimately determined the fate of the universe. He might not look intimidating, but he's one of the most powerful beings Marvel has ever created. Beyonder. The Beyonder is basically the Marvel Universe's equivalent of that one kid who's really good at everything, has too much free time, and thinks throwing a massive party would be an amazing idea. But the party is reality itself. First introduced in Secret Wars, 1984, the Beyonder is an immensely powerful cosmic being from a dimension beyond the known multiverse. Imagine a guy who has never even heard of the concept of limitations. He's not bound by time, space, or even basic moral guidelines. At one point, he basically said, "What would happen if I grabbed a bunch of superheroes and villains and stuck them on a planet to fight for my entertainment?" And that was the premise of the first Secret Wars. He's essentially a walking, talking god of destruction, curiosity, and despite his godlike powers, he's a bit of an emotional mess. The Beyonder's whole deal is that he's kind of like a child playing with his new toys. He doesn't get human emotions, which is a pretty big deal when your entire existence is built on manipulating reality and testing others' limits. At one point, he's so fascinated by human desire that he steals the powers of the entire universe just to learn what it feels like to be human. Spoiler, he gets a little too curious and ends up becoming, well, a mess of complicated stories. It doesn't help that his first major interactions were with the likes of Doctor Doom, who has absolutely no chill, and Spider-Man, who is just trying to survive another Tuesday. As a villain, Beyonder isn't interested in world domination or money. He's not even interested in the usual villainous goals. His thing is curiosity. What would happen if I made a sun go out? What if I made Hulk think he was a poet? His ultimate goal, at least at the beginning, is understanding human beings. And when you're essentially the universe's version of a spoiled rich kid who can do anything you want, that's a pretty dangerous mix. Imagine the Beyonder as that friend who wants to experiment with everything in your life and doesn't realize he's accidentally setting things on fire until it's too late. But hey, if you're gonna go cosmic, you might as well go full Beyonder. Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer, or Norrin Radd, is one of those rare Marvel characters that went from villainous beginnings to being the deep-thinking cosmic hero we all know and love today. But let's talk about the time when he was one of the more tragic antagonists in the Fantastic Four lore. So, Norrin Radd started out as a young man from the planet Zen-Lai, where everything was peaceful and perfect, and life was, well, pretty boring. Enter Galactus, the devourer of worlds, who, unsurprisingly, wanted to eat his planet. Norrin, being the stand-up guy he is, made a deal. If he would serve Galactus as his herald, Galactus would spare Zen-La. In an act of self-sacrifice, he became the Silver Surfer, a cosmic being with the power to find new planets for his master to feast on. At first, he was like the delivery boy for Galactus. Imagine being forced to run errands for someone who's an absolute jerk, and probably eats your leftovers without asking. Norrin Radd's heart was in the right place, but as time went on, he began to realize just how messed up his arrangement was. He was a pawn in Galactus's giant cosmic game of Where's Dinner? Eventually, the Surfer breaks free from Galactus's grip after encountering the Fantastic Four. At this point, he's more of a cosmic wanderer, trying to redeem himself for all the worlds he led Galactus to consume. He becomes a hero, although one with a pretty heavy emotional burden, as he can never truly escape the trauma of being a herald. His silver surfboard is both his symbol of power and his reminder of the weight of his mistakes. The Silver Surfer's main antagonist status wasn't so much about being evil, it was about being a tool for a far more powerful being. But in the end, he's one of the few Marvel characters who truly gets redemption. Imagine being a former villain who became the ultimate defender of the universe and still has to deal with that awkward, "Hey, remember when I tried to destroy your world?" moment every time he meets new people. Talk about a cosmic redemption arc. Namor, the Submariner. The guy who basically invented the "I'm not a villain, I'm just misunderstood" trope, and is probably the only hero who could wreck you in a pool, on land, or in space. Namor is the definition of "it's complicated" when it comes to his allegiance. Namor is the prince and sometimes king of Atlantis, which, for those of you who don't know, is a superpowered underwater kingdom. His first appearance in Marvel Comics #1 in 1939 predates even Captain America, so this guy's been around for a long time. With his pointy ears, wings on his ankles, and a temper that could fry an entire continent, Namor was a force to be reckoned with from the start. Namor's attitude towards the surface world can be described as, "How dare you disturb my oceans?" He's often in the position where he's both a hero and a villain, sometimes siding with the Avengers, other times nearly drowning the human race. Namor's thing is that he's a staunch protector of Atlantis and its people, and he doesn't really trust surface dwellers. If there's a conflict between land and sea, he's probably the first to throw a trident into the middle of it. In the comics, Namor has a long-standing rivalry with the surface world and even the Fantastic Four. He's definitely a villain when his kingdom is threatened, and if anyone messes with the ocean or disrespects Atlanteans, they're in big trouble. But you can't really blame the guy too much. It's like having a family feud with someone who's, I don't know, holding a grill party right over your swimming pool. Let's face it, Namor is the original bad boy of Marvel. Sometimes charming, sometimes ruthless, and always a force of nature. The dude can fly, punch through steel, and apparently has an on and off relationship with pretty much every superhero in the Marvel universe. But if you really tick him off, Atlantis rises, and it's never a good day for humanity. Annihilus. Annihilus, the ruler of the negative zone, and one of the Fantastic Four's most fearsome foes, isn't just your average villain. He's like the cosmic equivalent of that person who sees a keep out sign and immediately decides to throw a party inside. And by party, I mean, destruction. First appearing in Fantastic Four number 6 in 1962, Annihilus is a bug-like alien with an exoskeleton so tough it could survive a nuclear apocalypse. He's got a personal vendetta against the universe, mostly because, well, he's a tyrant with a severe case of "I want all the power." The negative zone is his domain, a dimension full of chaos and dark energy. And he's its tyrannical ruler, meaning he's spent a lot of time brooding over how to expand his rule into the positive universe, which includes Earth. Annihilus is fueled by the Annihilation Wave, a cosmic plague of destruction. His goal? To expand his dominion by annihilating everything in his path. See, Annihilus doesn't care about subtlety. He doesn't want a conversation or a debate about it. He wants power and total destruction, and he'll stop at nothing to get it. His desire to invade the positive universe was so strong that he would manipulate even his own people to do his bidding. In Annihilation 2006, he becomes one of the most dangerous threats the Marvel Universe has ever faced, leading a massive cosmic war. He's like that villain who isn't interested in negotiation or mercy. He's all about total annihilation, hence the name. His weapon of choice? The Cosmic Control Rod, which gives him godlike abilities. And it's not just for decoration. This rod is his ticket to power. And if he doesn't have it, his plans are in serious jeopardy. Annihilus, much like his negative zone, thrives on chaos, suffering, and having an absolutely terrible attitude about everything. So, whenever the Fantastic Four are dealing with him, you know it's time to stop drinking your coffee and start fighting for your life. He's a constant reminder that sometimes in the Marvel Universe, all you need to do is push a few buttons to start an intergalactic war. Talk about a cosmic headache.